All praises to Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father. Bahasham means in the name. Yahweh Shah is the name of his only begotten Son. Waharacha Chorash and the Holy Spirit. You know, double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone, and peace, blessings, and salutations to all you brothers who preach in the gospel in truth and in sincerity and in charity. You know, and pretty much I got this lesson right here. The name of this lesson, I think I'm gonna just, name it America's Babylon. You know, brothers been going into this topic all over the world, proving it through the scriptures. But I have this little article right here. I'm gonna just read through this article, and whatever scriptures come to mind through the Holy Spirit. We gonna go into it. So this is the name of this lesson is called "The Secret Worship of the Illuminati." The Statue of Liberty is Anunnaki goddess Inanna, right? And this is humansarefree.com. It says the American Babylonianism introduction. The American Babylonianism. It says the Statue of Liberty has become the most cherished symbol of the United States of America. What we were not taught in school were the truly significant facts regarding the true nature of the statue. Those pertinent facts that remain largely unknown revolve around the true history of the statue's inception, as well as the meaning and significance behind the statue. French sculptor Frederick Bartholdi designed the Statue of Liberty. Bartholdi did not originate the concept of the statue. The idea for creating a Statue of Liberty and Freedom was first proposed by another Frenchman by the name of Edward Laboulaye. It says, it was Laboulay's idea and determination during the American Civil War that carried the idea from a simple notion to an actual project. And as you can see, this is the ancient depiction, and this is the depiction of the Statue of Liberty today, man. See, Esau Edom just recycles all these old gods from these different kingdoms, man, from these different ancient kingdoms. That's why today this place is known as Nineveh, it's known as Babylon, it's known as Sodom and Gomorrah, it's known as Egypt. It takes the spirit of all these different ancient kingdoms all into one, man. It says and especially Babylon, if I didn't mention that. It says Laboulaye, a French Freemason, proposed the idea of a giant statue replicating a goddess that the Masonic movement idolized. It says Laboulaye proceeded to raise the financial support and commission Bartholdi to provide the sculpture of this goddess of illumination from ancient times. What deity was this? It was the goddess known by various names. Laboulaye and his fellow Freemason sculptor Bartholdi referred to her as Libertas. But she was also an early adoption by Romans of the Babylonian goddess Ishtar, right? And that's where you get Easter from, man. Easter goes back to the worship of Ishtar, right? It says we'll need to follow the research on the goddess connections to fully understand this statue's meaning. It says Roman goddess Libertas. Libertas was the name of an ancient Roman goddess adopted by the Romans perhaps as early as the 5th century BC and certainly by the 4th century BC. She was referred to as the goddess of personal freedom and liberty. In fact, Libertas meant freedom. So Libertas means freedom. The two names describe the one concept we call freedom. Liberty equals freedom and freedom equals liberty. And basically it embodies the do as thou wilt spirit, man. That's what it embodies. It goes back to paganism. It goes back to living after the flesh, whatever feels good. The scriptures speak about not giving over to the desires of the flesh, roughly paraphrasing. It says, this goddess was the goddess of freedom because she promoted the ideals for the personal freedom to do anything that felt good. Damn. See? She was called the matron goddess of prostitution because she promoted sexual freedom. And what does America do, man? How they normalize sex. Sex is a sacred act between a man and a woman, man, becoming one, joining together. And look how Esau just portrayed it, man. It says, Indeed, she had invented the concept. Slaves considered her their goddess in the hopes of winning their freedom. Many women who gained freedom later turned to prostitution to survive and thereby retain Libertas as their goddess, especially if they became priestess in a Libertas cult. It says that independent woman, man, right? It says Libertas was also a goddess of war in order to fight for freedom. She was also referred at times as the goddess of victory because freedom must have victory in order to survive. This goddess was also the goddess of immigrants. See? You know, goddess of immigrants, the goddess of victory, which goes back to Nike, man. You know, all this ties in together. You know, the Lord, that's why the Lord said this, man. Salaki, the computer running slow. This is Psalms 96:5. It says, "For all the gods of the nations are idols, but Yahweh made the heavens," man. You know, these guys, they don't live. You know, that's why Baruch the 6th chapter, man, says, matter of fact, yeah, that's the spirit. What? That's mad crazy, yo. But this is Baruch the 6th chapter. It says, a copy of an epistle which Jeremiah sent unto them which were to be led captive into Babylon by the king of the Babylonians, to certify them as it was commanded him of the Most High. So this was when we was carried away into the Babylonian captivity, you know, around what I think it was 600-700 BC, you know, around that time when we was carried away by Nebuchadnezzar. But I'm gonna liken it today to this Babylon, right? It says, because of the sins which ye have committed before the Most High, ye shall be led away captives unto Babylon by Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Babylonians. So when ye be come into Babylon, ye shall remain there many years and for a long season. And we've been here, many years and a long season, man. You know, we've been here in Babylon for roughly over like 400 years, right? It says, and after that I will bring you away peaceably from thence. Now shall ye see in Babylon gods of silver and of gold and of wood, borne upon shoulders, which cause the nations to fear. Beware therefore that ye in no wise be like to strangers, neither be ye afraid of them when ye see the multitude before them and behind them worshiping them. But say ye in your hearts, O Lord, we must worship thee, man. You know, and that's why the Lord told us this. It's Jeremiah the 10th chapter. This is Jeremiah 10:1. It says, hear ye the word which Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain, man. All these customs, all these ceremonies, you know, all these traditions is all vain, man. It says, and it's going to go into one tradition specifically. It says, for one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not, right? You go cut the tree. You put the gold and silver trim all around it. What that sound like, man? You know? It says, they are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, meaning they needs to be carried, because they cannot go. That's what we just read in Baruch. It says that they are borne upon shoulders, man. You know, hey, the Statue of Liberty didn't walk to the to that port. That motherfucker was placed there, man. It says, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also it neither also is it in them to do good, man. You know, so the main, a matter of fact, that it's finna come up, but next week is Deathmas, man. What they call Christmas, you know. And the scriptures right here in Jeremiah the 10th chapter clearly says that that custom is vain, man. That's the way of the heathen, you know. That we shouldn't be celebrating that, man. You know. But we're gonna go back to this article. It says the whole idea of immigration connoted the idea of freedom. Her popularity was also unique because of her unique doctrine of hearing personal prayers. This unique doctrine was something that most of the pagan deity doctrines were not disposed towards. It says, and as you can see, you know, it is one and the same, man. This is how the Romans depicted this false god in the ancient world, and this is how the Romans depict it today. It says, we know that this goddess existed before Salakia. We know that this goddess existed because of the records left behind to us. We have the ancient writings of Cicero, who writes of this goddess in her temple on the Aventine Way in Rome. She was depicted on some Roman coins as wearing a freedom cap and having a wreath along with a spear or sometimes a sword. Such coin images were not the only depictions. Sometimes she was well robed and at other times seductively unclothed in both sculptures and paintings. We know of Libertas being referred to as the mother of harlots. Ooh, hey, keep that in mind, man, because we gonna get that. By the famous Roman historian and senator, Cicero's writings. Cicero indicates that she was also a very early goddess of the Greeks, even before early Roman civilization developed. Upon further investigation, we find that the Greeks had acquired knowledge of this being from previous empires in the Middle East and Egypt. This goddess was called Ashtaroth in Hebrew, and in the Old Testament Greek version, the Septuagint. Hey, and the scriptures speaks about that too, man. You know? You just paste that word here. And looks what pops up, man. It says, 1 Kings 11:5, for Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, right, which was Hamites, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. You see? You know, these are all ancient deities, man. There's nothing new under the sun. Let's grab that. Come on, dog. Salaki, brothers, bear with me. Shit, now I done lost what I was getting. Nothing new under the sun. Tawadi Abasham Yahshua. Satan really trying to hinder, hey? Hey, this is wild business, man. Yep, this is wild business. Satan trying to hinder, man. You know, that's all it is. That's all it is. Satan, you can't stop this word, cuz. You can't stop this word. This is Ecclesiastes 1:9. It says, the thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun, man. You know? So Esau just recycling all this garbage, this madness, man. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us, you know? So you're going to go back to, matter of fact, okay. It says, Ashtoreth becomes translated into the Greek as Astarte, which became the early Greek name for the goddess until it was later changed to Aphrodite. Now, you are brothers know about the Greek goddess Aphrodite, man. Aphrodite. See, all this ties all back, man. You know, which goes back to Semiramis in Babylon, man. You know, the mother of Nimrod, which goes to Isis, Ishtar. It all ties in the same, man. It's all the same deity. It's all the same false god. It says, the Hebrew term Ashtoreth was itself a transliteration from the Babylonian dialect term of Ishtar. Ishtar, in the most ancient of times, was also referred to by the Sumerian dialect as Ainana or Nainana, meaning the queen of heaven or lady of heaven. In Canaan, this deity was called Ashtoreth. The Hittites called her Shushka. The Phoenicians on Cyprus initially referred to her as Astarte. Isis was the name the Egyptians gave to her. This is how the goddess became introduced to the earliest Greeks, man, and it's all the same, man. And it's all throughout the scriptures, you know? It's all throughout the scriptures. This is Jeremiah 44:4. It says, howbeit I send unto you all my servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them, saying, oh, do not this abominable thing that I hate, man. Like worshiping idols, man. Sacrificing unto devils. That's why we was delivered into this captivity. This is it's the second or fourth chapter. Let me see real fast. Salaki. Yep. This is Baruch 4:6. It says, ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because ye moved the Most High to wrath, ye were delivered unto the enemies, for ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not to the Most High. You see? So it says, Jeremiah 44:5, but they hearken not, nor incline their ear to turn from their wickedness, to burn incense unto other gods. You know, wherefore my fury and my anger was poured forth and was kindled in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, and they are wasted and desolate as at this day. Why? Because Jake still want to worship all this madness instead of come back to the Heavenly Father, to the law, statutes, and commandments, right? So now I'm gonna scroll down. This is Jeremiah 44 and I started 15. It says, then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, as for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of Yahweh, we will not hearken unto thee, man, right? Because they was in that queen of heaven spirit, man, and it's going to explain it, right? It says, but we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth to burn incense unto the queen of heaven, man. So it goes back to this worship, man. It's nothing new under the sun, you know? It goes back to the worship of the mother of harlots, man. You know, it goes back to the worship of do as thou wilt. You know, it says, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of victuals and were well and saw no evil, man. Right? Because when you was serving idols, yeah, you had everything in abundance, man. Right? It says, verse 18, but since we left off to burn incense to the queen of heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine. The Sirach 2:1 says what? When you come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, man. Hey, the Lord tests you to see if you really down for him, man. You know, and these fuckers failed the test, man. The men ultimately failed the test because they let their women fucking run over them, man. So I'm gonna go back to this article. It says Isis was the name of the Egyptians gave to her. This is how the goddess became introduced to the earliest Greeks. We know this transformation in part due to the written text found by archaeologists, plus from studying the character traits and descriptions. For instance, all these deities were actually just one goddess, and she was associated with the planet Venus, which goes to Rome, man. You see how all these things tie into the same thing, you know? It's like Serapis Christus. It's like the worship of Jesus Christ, man. That goes back to Serapis Christus, which was a Greek god, which goes back to Tammuz, you know? Matter of fact, this is Ezekiel 8:14. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord of Yahweh's house, which was towards the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz, which Tammuz goes back to what? Nimrod, man. You know? All paganism, man. That's why people today worship what, man? The fucking Mary, the Father, Mary, and the Son, man. You know? That all goes back to Babylonian worship, man. You know, that goes to heathenism. You know, that goes to heathenism. What was I gonna get on this? Because I spoke about Tammuz. It was weeping for Tammuz, man. But anyway, it says most had phonemic language roots in the transliterating aspects of the name Ishtar, and this remained so until the Greeks changed the name to Aphrodite. Later, the Romans referred to her in the Latin, initially as Libertas and later as Venus, when they accepted more than just the liberty doctrines, right? I'm mad as hell. I can't remember what I was going to get right here. It says Ishtar, goddess of liberty and personal freedom. Ishtar was introduced to the Greeks as Astarte through the Phoenicians. Oh, that's what I was going to get. That's what I was going to get. Tawadi, how about Shami Hawashai? See? There's nothing new under the sun, man. This is Serapis Christus. See? This is the ancient Greek god, man. False god. Salakia. Let me say it like that, man. You know? And it's nothing. It's just being Esau recycles shit over and over. That's how you know who he is, man. But anyway, it says Ishtar was introduced to the Greeks as Astarte through the Phoenicians, the Canaanites. That's the Greek way of saying Canaan. It says we can see that the lineage of the Greek and Roman goddess of the planet Venus goes all the way back to ancient Babylon of around 3000 BC. Apparently, the Greeks and later the Romans chose to initially honor only one portion of Ishtar's character and doctrines that appealed to them in those very early years before they established empires. Ishtar's doctrine of personal freedom was what really impressed both the Greeks and the Romans. They therefore chose to worship just that aspect of her character. As times passed, the succeeding generations of Greeks found the other Ishtar doctrines to be appealing and incorporated her into their pantheon of deities as Astarte or Aphrodite. Later still, the Romans did the same and referred to her as Venus. It seems that the allure of Ishtar was her doctrine of holy sex or salvation by holy sexual relations with a temple priestess or a priest as a means of purification and holiness. And that's what they was doing in the ancient world, man. You know? In the movie 300, they showed you that. Those ugly ass beings that was on top of the mountain when Leonidas climbed. They was having sex with that woman that they called the Oracle. You know? It's an account in the scriptures when I believe it was Eleazar, you know, Eleazar, when he went and he put the javelin through that man and the woman, man, because that man was sleeping with that woman, man. What? Because of the ceremonial worship of that false god, man. You know? It says hey, and And it's all throughout our history, man. And that's why the Lord continually fuck us up, man. This is Acts 19 and 24. It says, for a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana. It's the same thing. Diana of the Ephesians goes back to what, man? This worship of Ishtar, the worship of the woman, man. You know, it says, who made silver shrines for Diana brought no small gain unto the craftsmen. Why? Because idolatry is big business. It says, whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation and said, sirs, ye know that by this craft we have our wealth. Moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia, this Paul hath persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands. You know, and we bad for business for these idol makers and these idol worshipers, man. You know, it says, of course, this entailed paying the priestess or priest, and thus it was officially sanctioned and therefore holy prostitution. Ishtar introduced that whole concept to the human race. This is why she was referred to as the mother of harlots. Harlots had been deemed to be social outcasts, so she was also referred to as the mother of exiles. It says this was later equated with the idea of immigration. Naturally, then, Ishtar, aka Libertas, was known as the mother of harlots, the mother of exiles, and the mother of immigrants throughout not only Babylon and Babylonia, but also later Assyria, Egypt, Greece, and Rome. And because it all goes back to Babylon, man. You know, the Tower of Babel, when the languages was confounded. See, all these people still had those same traditions, those same deities that they worship, but they called them different things according to the language, man, that they had. You know, it's all the same thing. Just like Isis, the Egyptians called her Isis. Why? Because that's according to their language, man. You know, and Tarte and Ishtar and so forth and so on, right? It says, what was Ishtar's legacy in Babylon? She was the chief goddess of Babylon and all of Babylonia. There was no other goddess more honored than she. She was equated, and today in Babylon, what, man? You see the Statue of fucking Liberty, man. You understand? It's nothing new under the sun. It's the same thing. She was equated to have nearly the same power as the chief god of Babylon, the sun god Atu, also known as Shemish. In later years, the chief male deities would flip-flop in popularity. The most famous and prominent during the times of Israel's nationhood was Baal. And Baal was also called Marduk, Baal. Baal was identified with the planet Mars and was called the god of war. And this is all in the scriptures too, man. You see, this is what fucked us up for millennia, man. You know, look at this. I know it's in the book of Jeremiah. This is Jeremiah 50 and 1. It says, the word that Yahweh spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations, and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken. Baal is confounded. Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces, man. And that's what's going to happen, man. Isaiah the 19th chapter said this will be a visitation upon Egypt and her idols. This is all the same place, you know. It says his name meant Lord of the Air. For his superior powers and the supremacy of the air, it was claimed that he, as well as Ishtar and all the other deities, flew among and from the stars in heaven. Ishtar was a multifaceted deity. She was first and foremost endeared to the hearts and minds of Babylonians because of her primary dedication to freedom and liberty. She was also considered the mother of prostitution or harlotry and was considered holy. It says, why? Ishtar introduced the concept of removal of sins by the practice of the sinner engaging in a holy rite of sexual relations with a priestess or priest. This action would involve the payment of money to the priestess or priest as part of the cleansing process. It was an offering of thanksgiving for the purification. This is the very first instance of prostitution in human history. Ishtar was also known as the goddess of war because she fights for freedom and liberty. She was also known as the goddess of victory because there is no freedom without victory. She was also known as the goddess of love because of her sexuality and her promotion of all types of sexual perversion in the name of freedom. Her motto was, if it feels good, do it. Do as thou wilt, man. Satanism. It says, didn't we hear that same idea as a theme song during the 1960s? She was also the goddess of the planet Venus. She was a goddess who flew among the stars, and so therefore she was called the Queen of Heaven or Lady of Heaven. It says, Zechariah Sitchin, in his book Divine Encounters, describes another significant role for Ishtar in Babylonia, Sumer. It says, note, the earliest Babylonians did not call themselves Babylonians, nor their land Babylon. They called their land Sumer, and they are referred to as Sumerians, right? Because the Sumerians, basically, they lived in the area of Babylon. You know, the Sumerians were pre-flood. You know, that was the Tower of Babel, the Sumerians right here, you know? It says, now, Sitchin is one of only a handful of scholars who have been able to learn and translate the cuneiform tablet writings of the Sumerian Babylonians. He has written numerous books detailing various aspects of the culture and writings of Sumer. In his book Divine Encounters, he describes a significant role that Ishtar held for the Sumerians. On pages 174 through 176, he describes the annual ritual in which the king of Sumer must come to the special chamber temple of Ishtar to engage in sexual relations with her for one night of passion. If during the night she is displeased with the king in any way, she kills him, and a new candidate is selected to undergo another ritual initiation of one night passion. He must perform satisfactorily. This process was to continue until Ishtar accepted a candidate who met with her satisfaction. And this is fucking madness, man. If the king or candidate found acceptance, he would appear the following morning to the expectant crowds outside the temple palace to show that he had gained the favor of the goddess to rule for one more year. Such acceptance also meant that the nation would have a good year of agricultural harvests. And that's why these goddamn heathens, man, these people need Israel to rule, man, in righteousness. You understand? It says, Sitchin also notes that the biblical references to daughter of Babylon always refers to Ishtar of Babylon. She was a mother of harlots and also a daughter of Babylon, which the daughter of Babylon is talking about America, man. Hey, why? Because it embodies exactly what the first Babylon was all about. It says, this seems like a dichotomy of sorts, but Ishtar was a daughter of the original founding god of Babylon, known as Anu, who was the ruler of the planet called Nibiru. Nibiru is an additional planet in our solar system that circled the Earth every 3,600 years, according to the royal records of Babylon. That's neither here or there, man. It says, Sitchin has been roundly ridiculed by scientists for proposing that this notion of Nibiru could actually exist. However, on June 30th, 1999, a scientist, David Stevenson from California Institute of Technology, published a paper stating that interstellar planets, which is what a Nibiru would be called, is certainly a theoretical possibility and should not be dismissed. Yeah, they have no what's the word I'm looking for? No proof of none of this, man. You know, Esau just makes shit up. It says in the CNN, you know, if anything, man, it's a big ass chariot out there, man. You know, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. It says in the CNN Reuters news story, the text mentions that Stevenson is not alone and that others have theorized that there may be other planets roaming interstellar space that came from our solar system. A theory, man. And they say a theory is an educated guess. Get the fuck out of here. How can you guess educatedly? It's madness, man. It says Sitchin is also a noted Dead Sea Scroll scholar. He served in the original investigative group attempting to repair the damaged scrolls. He is an extraordinarily gifted scholar. Let's see Divine Encounters. It says, now this ritual between Ishtar and the king or king candidate is what the biblical prophecies are referring to when it talks about the harlot having relations with the kings of the earth. And that's false. What it's talking about, the harlot, is talking about America, which embodies what? This fucking false god Ishtar. They got the big ass statue in New York in the harbor, man. You know? So it's talking about America committing fornication with all these heathens, man, with the kings of the earth, man. That's what it's speaking about. You know? It says, in other words, in the prophecies, it is referring to Ishtar proving the rule of the kings because they have pleased her and did as she commanded. See Revelation 17, 1 and 2. Let's get that. It's Revelation 17 and 1. It says, and there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. And it's talking about America, man. The many waters is talking about the people. It says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication, man. You know, and it's talking about the philosophy, the madness that America pushes across the world, man. You know, you can't have you can't be an ally to America unless you accept homosexuality, you know, unless you accept women's lib, unless you accept democracy into your land, which the word democracy is democracy, which the word demo means demon and cracy means rule, man. So democracy literally means rule of the demons, man. You understand? And how do they get in bed with them? It's the petrodollar, man. It all starts with that bullshit ass worthless dollar bill, man. You know? Yeah. We gonna keep that. We gonna get into more on that. It says see 4 and 5. We gonna get to that, and also 18, 3, 9, and 19 and 2. See also Isaiah 40, 47. You know, it speaks about come thou sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. You know. Hey, so these is all scriptures talking about America, man. It says, it also means that the relationship is a two-way street. Ishtar gives to the kings the necessities to maintain authority and control, right? Revelation, matter of fact, I'm gonna just scroll down. It says, it's Revelation 12 and 17. It's Revelation 17 and 12, it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. They're giving them the things necessary to rule, man. You know? Matter of fact, I'm going to start at 10, because you will know who it's talking about. It says, 9. It says, and here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is. You know, and when you see the through the spirit those heads, the ones that fall in Germania Major fell, Germania Minor, because Rome took over these places, and America owned these places today. It's the Roman Empire. What's the word I'm looking for? It's the Roman Renaissance, man. The Roman rebirth. You know. It says 5 are fallen. So it was Germania Minor, Germania Minor, French, which was the Gauls, French, the Britons. No. Salakia. Germania Minor, Germania Minor, France. Fuck, I'm having a brain freeze right now, man. That's 3. France. Fuck. Salakia, brothers. Here it is. Yep. Germania Minor, Germania Minor, the Germania Major, Germania Minor, the French, the Spanish, and the Greeks. That's 5 right there. Those were the ones that Rome took over, man. They fell, right? And it says, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is. What's that one that was, man? It's Rome, right? So the Greeks fell. Germanium Minor failed, the Spanish failed, the French failed, and Germanium Major failed, man. You understand? So that's 5 right there that failed. And it says one is during the time of John. The one is the Romans, right? It says, and the other is not yet come. And what's that other that's not yet come? It's the last head, which is the British, which is England, right? So it says, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. So what came? Well, America came out of the 7. The 7 was what? The British, England, man. You know, which was the Rome head being rehealed, man. Because one of those one of those heads was wounded unto death, but it was healed. And that's today America, man. You understand? So let's go back to this this article. It says it also means that the relationship is a two-way street. Ishtar gives to the kings. Ishtar is America. America gives to the kings the necessities to maintain authority and control. In return, the kings, of course, swear allegiance to America and provide sacrifices for her. Revelation provides a symbolic similarity between the ancient historical aspect and a future relationship between a future Babylon and the rest of the nations. Come on, dog. You know, it says superpower Babylon acts just like an Ishtar and engages in prostitution with the rest of the nations. The context is all with regards to money and materialism. The merchants of the earth, man, because they was getting what? Money and materials. See Revelation 18, 1 through 24, and note how the overall theme revolves around money and materials, because it speaks about no man buyeth our merchandise anymore, man. You understand? In the book of Revelation. You know? This is Revelation 18:9. It says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication to live deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. You understand? Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And when you read Ezekiel, I believe it's the 28th and the 29th chapter, you know, it goes into a place called Tyrus, man. Tyre. That was situated in the midst of the sea, man. Hey, it matches up with what John's seen. So to let you know, it's talking about America, man. Those same merchants are going to bewail for this city, man. For this whore. At the destruction of this place. It says the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all fine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of most precious wood and of brass and of iron and of marble and of cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. Mine, bruh. So it says, connecting Ishtar to the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty was a Masonic concept conceived from within Freemasonry. The chief promoter and fundraiser for the project was Edward Laboulaye, and he collaborated with the sculptor Frederic Bartholdi to develop a statue of Masonic enlightenment. The statue was developed from within the highest doctrines of Freemasonry. This enlightenment took its form in various symbols found in the sculpture itself. Number 1, the crown of 7 spikes. This symbol was to represent the enlightenment of the Babylonian sun god Shamash Atu. The idea was that this sun god's occultic illumination could be focused by each of the 7 spikes of the crown. Each spike would flash this occultic enlightenment to each of the 7 horrors or large land masses of the world. In other words, each spike would flash occultic enlightenment to a continent on planet Earth. Each of the 7 spikes would then be representative of one of the 7 large land masses or continents of the world. Number 2, the tablets. A common misconception is that the tablet represents the 10 commandments that the Most High gave to Moses. This is not true. The tablets are engraved only with the Roman numeral standing for July 4th, 1776, man. And that was that. And that was the inception of what? You know, of the Illuminati, man. It says, according to the preeminent statue historian Marvin Trachtenberg in his book, The Statue of Liberty, the tablets represented a generic notion of the concept of law. This should not be confused with the laws of Moses. Freemasonry gives lip service to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam as law-giving religions, but Freemasonry tries to synthesize all religions into one central focus, the idea of law in general, hence the tablets being held by the Statue of Liberty carrying that general meaning. And that law is what? Do as thou wilt, man. That's the law of Esau Edom. That's the law. That's the madness he pushes, man. Number 3, the robe. This is heavy. In the original planning, the Statue of Liberty was designed in the initial stages to be in color. She was to be wearing the royal robes of scarlet and purple. Let's go back to Revelation. What we read is Revelation 17 and 3 now. It says, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. So it says what? That she was to be wearing the royal robes of scarlet and purple. That was the original intent of the Statue of Liberty. That's what it was going to be wearing. It became obvious that for reasons of monetary purposes, the statue must be made from copper. The use of copper precluded the use of any color schemes. Thus, the original plans for scarlet and purple robes were abandoned. The torch. This item was originally designed to be a golden cup filled with the wine of freedom, with the wine of her fornications, man. Hey, there's no way around it, man. Hey, call Allah Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. It says this golden cup remained in the planning and was actually made. However, before completion and shipping of the entire statue, the New York Port authorities asked if there could be some sort of modification to allow for an eternal flame or light to be designed into the statue so that ships could use her as a nighttime navigational aid. Bartholdi consented to make modifications to the basic cup design to allow for a natural gas flame to be utilized. The torch we see today is actually the same type of cup design used in ancient times for drinking wine. It featured a handle for the cup at the bottom, and the handle looked much like a stick. The golden aspect itself was altered again to conform to the needs of the natural gas flame. The actual original golden cup was later sold by the project to the Tsar of Russia, Tsar Nicholas, in 1917. During the Russian Revolution, the communist government took possession of it. The cup has remained in Russian hands, but in 1997 was reportedly offered for sale by the Russian government to help pay off Russia's foreign debts. This author has not been able to determine whether or not the cup was actually sold or not. It is only known that the cup is still in existence. Number 5, Mother of Harlots is a key term in the poem by Emma Lazarus. In her famous poem about the statue, now etched into the base of the statue, Lazarus refers to the woman as the mother of exiles. The poem has forever and indelibly linked the statue to immigrants from around the world. The statue is the patron saint of immigrants everywhere. Oddly enough, the Babylonian goddess Ishtar was also the patron goddess of immigrants in Babylon, because as a goddess of personal freedom, she brought hope to immigrants seeking to make a better life for themselves in Babylon, which is today. Same thing. There's nothing new under the sun. So too for this mother of exiles. In fact, if we try to transliterate the English term mother of exiles into the Greek, mother as a word has similar phonetic sounds. It's like it says doing the same with exiles from English into Koine Greek. The Koine Greek listener would link it to a similar Greek word that connoted deep inhalation or air or heavy breathing. This is tied into the Greek word epithumia, which in English is normally translated as lust. But the literal meaning in Koine Greek meant literally heavy breathing and was connoted with desire, man. So this whole America only pushes what? Your desire, your lust. Do what's right, what feels good to you, man. Do as thou wilt. That's the whole philosophy of this fucking place, man. and it pushed it over across the whole world. That's why there's so much wickedness and madness that's going forth, man. You know, it says, now this terminology is then linked to the word porneo, from which we get the word pornography. Porneo equals lust fulfillment by sexual relations in exchange for money, which again was the main claim to fame for Ishtar, holy sexual prostitution, man. It all goes back to a forbidden desire, a lust, you know. The scriptures call it concupiscence, man. You know, an unbridled lust. You know what I'm saying? It says, now this terminology is then linked, Salaki. It says, Ishtar worship is the very first instance of prostitution in human history, and it was deemed holy. Now, this may indeed just be an interesting coincidence, but remember, Revelation 17:5, where the woman called Mystery Babylon is referred to as the mother of harlots. Conclusions. There are just too many coincidences when we compare the characteristics in the scriptures relating to the woman called Mystery Babylon, mother of harlots, with that of Ishtar Babylon and the Statue of Liberty. What we conclude: the Statue of Liberty is the woman being described in Revelation 17th chapter and the 18th chapter, and especially 17th chapter verses 4 and 5, verse 9, and chapter 18 verse 7, along with Isaiah chapter 47 verses 1 through 15. We say this because we know that the Statue of Liberty is actually the artist's sculptor's vision of Ishtar, the goddess of Babylon. This makes the Statue of Liberty the largest idol ever made by human hands. Is it any wonder that our congressional lawmakers seem to be so perpetually screwed up? The reference to Mystery Babylon, mother of harlots, is referencing Ishtar, the mother of harlots of Babylon, and her mystery doctrines such as salvation by sex for money. There are numerous other statues of other pagan deities in the U.S. Capitol building and around the nation's capital city. Key thing right here: America is indeed the Mystery Babylon of Revelation 17 and 18. You understand? It's also the Babylon in Isaiah 13. He's the Babylon in Isaiah 14. You know, the Babylon in Isaiah 50, Isaiah 51. You understand? America's throughout all the scriptures, man. You know? That's why the scriptures speak about having the eye salve, man, to see these things, man. Having the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, to reveal these things. You know? So with that, man, I hope this lesson was edifying. You know? Till next time, we give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone, and peace, blessings, and salutations to all you brothers who preach in the gospel in truth and in sincerity, always in charity. Shalom.